With the Butt Kicker Gamer 2, what you see and what you hear is what you feel. Butt Kicker. The future is feeling.
Ever witnessed someone so fast on track you doubt you could ever be on their level? The mission of Advanced Motorsports is to demonstrate the speed is achievable for everyone. With the expertise of some of the best sim drivers in North America, we are set to release free content on social media and comprehensive guides on our website. For those seeking the ultimate experience, our Advanced Motorsport Institute and personalized coaching sessions are the way to go. No matter your level of experience, we invite you to follow us on our social media to learn to be fast.
Sometimes lead through a certain place. When it comes to the start of a brand new season, especially when it comes to the PRL tonight, its Truck Series makes its way through Sparta, Kentucky for the start of its campaign here in a brand new calendar year on RaceSpot. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to tonight's action from the new version of Kentucky Speedway here on iRacing. Justin Prince alongside Given O'Leary, Hugo Weiss producing as we get set to see how 30-plus trucks zip around for the first time this season, the Kentucky Speedway. It's the start of a brand new season, Ewan, and a start of a new week when it comes to PRL as a whole, with its brand new campaigns kicking off this particular week. It should be an interesting season as it follows along with the C Open schedule this season.
Yeah, it should be an interesting season. It's great to get another PRL year underway, I suppose, in 2024. Just 9 rounds, though, for the opening season of this calendar year. And some slightly odd circuits, I would describe them as well, to start us off, because we're not quite following the real-life calendar yet, since it hasn't started. We'll do that at the end of the season. It means we've got a little bit of room for some circuits we don't normally see. Looking forward to Rockingham next week. That'll be good fun, as one of those circuits, and Willow Springs as well. A couple of those circuits we don't visit all that often.
Really at all for Willow Springs, as that's one of the tracks added as part of the fantasy flair, you could argue, when it comes to the off-season when NASCAR competition is not in racing action. In turn, that's where you see the different circuits like Willow Springs, like Myrtle Beach, like Chicagoland even, before the full-on season starts off week 7 onward for this season's campaign. And in turn, it should be an interesting season as a whole when you factor in a lot of the drivers looking to carry momentum from last season as well. It should be an interesting 2024.
Yeah, it should be, and it's obviously very different to the end of the 2023 season where we're all, worried about playoffs and all of those kind of things. It makes it very simple in the opening season of 2024, really, because we've just got the points to worry about. It's just these 9 rounds. The last round may even keep it a little bit closer for a little bit longer to allow us that championship finale that I'm sure we're all hoping for as well. So it will be a good start to the season, but it will start to eventually follow that real life calendar. Daytona's obviously going to be circled for everybody on week 7, and everyone will want to win that, of course. But it'd be good to get our season off to a good start here at Kentucky on this occasion. And yeah, looking forward to seeing how we go on this 1.5 mile oval to start things off.
Qualifying currently underway, but we'd like to take to remind you, the time to remind you that the PRL is brought to you in part by Advanced Sim Racing, owned and operated by passionate sim racers. Advanced Sim Racing designs and builds the sturdiest and most durable aluminum profile racing simulation cockpits available in the market today. All PRL members also get a 5% discount on ASR products using the Precision 5 coupon code. RaceBox offers mid and high-end button boxes for sim racing enthusiasts. Casual gamer up to meticulous sim racing driver. Carefully priced and carefully handcrafted, our button boxes are an enjoyable addition to any sim racing setup. Visit RaceBox Sim Racing and get a 5% discount code. Use Precision 5 coupon code. Buck your product's incredible immersion and bring realism to every game. For every nuance, enjoy putting yourself in the driver's seat. By Moradness. It's a performance lifestyle brand motivated by Motorsport and founded by professional race car driver Daniel Morad. By Mr. Hedge iRacing Photography, where it captures your best, finest, or simply worst moments in up to 8K resolution. And of course, by Advanced Motorsports. They get ready to learn to be fast, and you can learn to be fast with Advanced Motorsports. Follow them on their socials to become a better driver. Just about getting all set to go for tonight. Down to the final minute of qualifying. 29 total entrants on the list, expecting a packed field throughout the season. It's Stephen Kirby, who's the quickest amongst those on the track. And many returning drivers looking to showcase what they can do after the speed showcase last season. It should be interesting how the drivers race at Kentucky, though, because it's very different banking in 1 and 2 compared to 3 and 4, like you see at Texas Motor Speedway on the current stock car schedules. However, turn 3 and 4 is known as one of the most difficult turn 3s in stock car racing, Ewan.
Yeah, it's a bit of a unique track, I suppose, in some ways. Mile and a half, which it always sort of tempts you to say, well, they're all the same mile and a half, aren't they? But they're not. Kentucky's certainly an example of that. One of those where you're sort of banked over all of the time. It doesn't seem like these slight changes of degrees of banking would actually make a difference. Just 3 degrees in terms of difference between the two ends of the racetrack, but it certainly does.
In turn, it's time to look at how they start tonight here on the racetrack for the start of the season. 40 minutes on the clock. It's Kirby who starts on the pole tonight. Patrick Calgill starts alongside, about 6 1/1000ths the difference for the pole. Zach Panzarella, a Brennan Flowery-looking truck alongside Miguel and Mel Fonseca. Then it's Marty Calvert alongside Blaine Adams, is one of the Adams family racing machines up towards the front. Tanner D. Johnson, Dylan Smith, the top 8. Garrett Austin and John Jones, your top 10, with Matthew Alcada in 11th. Kevin McGarvey starts off in the 12th position, one of his Fords. Then it's Mike Toomer Jr. in 13th. Jordan Miller, Jake Mackey, alongside Colton Easterday. Easterday running a fair bit of official to get ready for these races this year. You also have up towards the back grouping, Kelski Hunter, Peltz, Sharp, Zachary Austin, Nicholas Hunter, Tom Embassy. Philip Beaver led the way from all of final practice, but qualified to the back. Ryan Latshaw, Antonio Bannister, Williams, Brett Adams, and Stacey Hunter were the 2 who do not set times. Of note, Stacey Hunter is currently not in the garage area. So drivers getting situated and ready to go. 40 minutes on the clock. Should be a decent enough time to be able to try and make moves here, Ewan, but in turn, with the estimate about 75, 78 laps, depending on how things go, what are your keys to win?
I think we've already had the first of them, by the way. Qualifying, getting up there towards the front, I think is key in these races. 40 minutes will fly by very, very quickly, especially if we get one of those races where it's cautions breed cautions and we get one after the other. That can prove to be very, very difficult. Other than that, it is going to be about staying out of trouble here. No matter where you've qualified, you are going to have to keep things out the wall, out of other cars, all of that kind of thing, or other trucks, I should probably say more accurately, for this series. Those are sort of the main keys that you can apply to most over races, really, but it's certainly the case here. It's the opening round of the season. There are many, many unknowns, and so just try and control some of them by keeping things clean yourself, and hopefully it will be a good run to start this season. But as I say, those 40 minutes are going to fly by if you're not careful.
So, intern, who are you watching the most throughout tonight? Especially with this being a hot track, not just track temp-wise, we're talking air temp-wise. There's a chance we may see drivers have some overheating motors if they push too hard.
Well, yeah, that's true as well, and it'll be something to watch out for, especially back in the pack. Tyres as well, how are they going to hold up over the course of the day? Is there going to be any opportunity for a bit of strategy with some cautions maybe back in the pack? I wonder, maybe, but it's hard to tell for the moment. We are obviously quite a long way forward in terms of the in-sim date of the 1st of April compared to where we are now in real life, and that's maybe just added an extra element for us with regards to tyre wear, but we'll see how bad that is and how much green flag racing we get.
But all set to go for this mid-afternoon race start. It's Stephen Kirby in control for RBM Shake. He looks to try and see if his fellow team members and drivers can bake and get to the front with him. 40 minutes on the clock. It's the start of a new season. The PRL's Truck Series is all set and going from Kentucky. Turn 4, Kirby starts things off solidly, leads the first lap of the 40-minute action. Calcio quickly to second. Keep in mind, 2 and 3 wide of the heart of the pack. The bottom line expected to be the dominant line throughout this race. After all, this is a bottom feeder racetrack.
And you can already see that through 1 and 2 on that occasion. 16 on the inside here, and it's the 33 of Blaine Adams up on the outside at the moment, but all very, very lonely. The only car inside the top 10 to be even trying that at this moment.
And keep in mind, it's going to be very important to save the tires for that part of the racetrack, more so in 3 and 4, because it's near full throttle at this end of the racetrack in 1 and 2. Hence why there's opportunities if you get alongside. If you get too deep on the send, say in a side-by-side like Calgill's going for the lead, you can fry your tires up on that top line tonight here in 3 and 4. Calgill not afraid to go nearly into the door in the midst of this.
And yeah, now what's going to happen though? Here's the run down to the line. It will be very close at the line. Calgill just about getting it, I think, but Fonseca not forcing it free wide. Now what's going to happen through 1 and 2? It's a decent run round here, but it's just taking such a long time to execute this move, and it's going to be a very, very long and painful and drawn out move, even if it does happen here for the 31.
Calgill does have the one advantage that could be pretty critical at a track like this tonight. The ability to pinch down from the top. The Wetterback Racing Machine just about clear for the race lead. And this has opened the door for second. Second now looking for a chance at the outside as well. These drivers are not afraid to push on the short run, to say the least. It is a one-stopper expected to be on the gas, keep in mind. Here's Calgill.
There he is in the bottom right. Almost he had the nose alongside there, did Stephen Kirby. There was slight contact and they get away with it.
Able to hold on. In turn, nearly sparks 3 wide as Kirby gets shuffled all the way back to the battle for the 5th position. So in turn, Calgill holds on to the lead in front of MAF up at the front. Panzarello holds on to 3rd, but amongst those already charging up, of note, Nicholas Hunter and Brett Adams in the heart of the pack up 6. Several others like Kirby are dropping in quickly. And that's the concern about tonight. That even for those testing for more so the open side than, say, for the fixed setup like this, could say that is the most difficult part of the race tonight, is not frying your right front tire off.
Yeah, it is the key, especially in 1 and 2. It's a case of how you manage it as well. How are you going to be able to do that? Because there will be some who are expecting maybe a yellow by even this point in the race. Some who are expecting it maybe to go the whole way green here through the 40 minutes here tonight. So it sort of depends on how you set out in that regard as well. So there are going to be a lot of different strategies going forward here with this one. Not only in terms of where you're pitting or whatever, but in terms of how you're even driving the truck at the moment. It's a very, very interesting one indeed, as we see Dylan Schmidt get up to 6th place in 1 and 2.
Schmidt, for reference, up 2 positions, Schmidt should say. As that shuffles back Blaine Adams amongst those who are trying to work through the pack of the Adams family racing machines. The Adams, for the past few years, have been well known in terms of how they've ran in the stock car scene in PRL competition. But in turn, battles like this tonight could be enough to break up these respective packs right now, because you can already see half a second nearly the difference between these respective groups, Kirby and Schmidt. The problem is with that, it's not really a draft-centric track. It's hard to close.
It's a bizarre track in so many ways. We've spoken about the difference in banking between the two ends of the racetrack, but it's sort of constantly banked around here. Even on the front straight through the tri-oval, it's well, it's not really straight at all, as it is a tri-oval. It's still, yeah, just gently towards 10 degrees of banking at most, and he never really relents around here. And as you say, it's a draft track in some ways, but 1.5 miles in others, which makes it so difficult to close gaps, and it means that battling is really, really difficult. It means that the leader is going to be very, very difficult to displace.
In turn, see some of the side-by-side breaking out of the heart of the pack for reference right now. This is for about 12th. Mike Toomer Jr. trying to fight around where he started the race, not able to get by McGarvey. So when it comes to a race like this, we've seen how critical it is to be careful in case there's cautions, be aware for the strategy. But one of the major things about tonight, how do you plan things out knowing it's by time, but with stock cars where a caution could come at any time and put you a lap down if you end up pitting. But at the same time, if you end up waiting too long, the difference is insurmountable, even at a track like Kentucky, about 10 seconds on the racetrack.
Yeah, and we can already see, I think that people are going to be pretty willing to pit because the drop-off is pretty big. We've already seen a second's worth of drop-off. Patrick Calgary just did a 31.9 compared to a 30.9, his best in the race so far. There's already been a second's worth of drop-off. There'll be probably 2 seconds by the time we hit the halfway mark.
So right now, a lot of drivers continuing the single file for the time being. Outside McGarvey trying to get around John T. Jones. Texas-based driver making contact with the Waterback machine. John did not want to be passed. He's able to keep it on the outside.
I thought that the 77 there was just going to run the 90 completely into the wall at a point there, but thankfully they worked it out between themselves, and John Jones holds on to his top 10 spot, and McGarvey's in big danger of getting freight train now.
Choo-choo train once again forming up here in Kentucky outside of a couple lines in. The choo-choo train has a wreck in the back. It's Brett Adams for 20th who's around for the caution. Our first yellow of the season, and it involves John Metkowski.
Yeah, Brett Adams as well in the 23 I've seen drop down to the very back of the field. I'm going to hazard a guess that he might have been involved as well, even if I haven't seen him. I'm going to hazard a guess there. It's certainly been some kind of problem, if not maybe only technical. But first caution of the season come 10 minutes in. I'd imagine we'll see some pit stops under this yellow as well.
Here's a look as it's offset 3 wide. Tiny bit of air, but even if you factor out the air, they were making contact eventually.
Yeah, 3 into 1 there, wasn't it, really, into turn 1? And eventually someone had to be the victim in that one. It was Brett Adams in the 23, who will certainly be down pit lane no matter what everyone else does.
Now, here's the interesting timing about this caution with about 32 minutes on the clock per the green lap estimate. There's about 60 to go, but that's going to go down, obviously, with the time, first of all. But second, that's only about 10 laps outside the pit window. Do we see drivers risking it on saving? No surprise, we see drivers after 15 laps at the very least taking one of their 3 sets in the pits.
Well, Calvert stays out, but he's the only one to do so in the 16. Still nobody stays out. The top 20 are in. I think everyone apart from Marty Calvert is going to be in, and that's You never really want to be left out there on your own.
And in turn, expecting 4 tires and fuel here for just about the entire field. Calvert, literally the only truck not to take the fresh boots. They are not going to be having the best of restarts in a moment. But for the most part, it's pretty straightforward at Kentucky. You take the 4 tires 9 times out of 10 unless it's a late race caution.
Calgo wins the race off pit road, then Fonseca and Kirby, the top 3, they'll be on the front 2 rows along with Marty Calvert, who, as you say, is going to have a very interesting restart. Although it wasn't easy to overtake. If Calvert just holds the inside line, it wasn't easy. So you never know. There was a second drop off though, so we're yet to see the difference in tires.
But it is a very high tire degradation racetrack, because you mentioned a bit of the fall off seen throughout the run. It can go as high as 2 or 3 seconds. Drivers are even over the radio telling him he should have been in the pits. Both his teammates from Philmar BFR, those drivers being Jake Mackey as well as one of the drivers towards the back who led in practice in Phil Beaver, electing to pit and leaving their teammate out as the only one to stay out. So how do you play this now if you're Marty? Because this is a big disadvantage to the rest of the race.
Well, it could be seen as a big disadvantage, but first thing, hold the inside off this restart, see how long you can hold on for. I suspect that it won't be very long, but just hold on for as long as possible. And second of all, see when the next caution is going to come out, if there is going to be another one, and definitely pit under that one. He's going to be hoping that the strategy that wins out today is going to be the one that sees someone down pit lane the least. I'm not sure that's going to turn out being the case, but if he stays out here and only has to pit once today, then maybe he's hoping that will turn out to be the correct call.
Take a look from Edward Peltz, who is one of the fan favorites for tonight. Watching along with those who are watching tonight's coverage, they are cheering for joy as we keep an eye on the 7 truck. After all, as one person says, Ed is the definition of action. Remember the one time he pulled out a trusty dictionary, looked up the action? To be honest, Ed was the 3rd definition. He was also the nearest truck to that incident for the first caution flag.
Well, there's your answer. It's proven. So we'll see what happens on this restart. It's going to be a lively one, I'm sure, especially on this front row, and that's probably going to send shockwaves down the field.
Just about all set to go. Up on the outside, it's Cowgill. Control truck is Calvert on all tires. Slow roll to the restart zone. Green flag is out. A bad tire spin, but still able to get the launch down. Now the pressure's on to try and see how much he can hold on to with these drivers about to catch up on speed.
Fantastic jump. Fantastic jump. He's done the first thing correctly, but how long can he hold on for here? The drop-off was massive, as we say, so how long can Marty Calvert hold on to this lead? Looks like maybe for a lap.
No move yet for most of the drivers. Side by side for 3rd. Kirby, 2nd. Now the battle's on for the lead. Cowgill sends it along the outside. Contact in the backdrop. 1 truck in the wall. It's Dylan Schmidt. We stay green as they zip along. New race leader again is Cowgill. Kirby back up the 2nd.
And Calvert is just holding the inside in the 16, but there's nothing that he can do. Panzarella will go around the outside now there in the 12. By the way, that was Schmidt, as you say, up in the wall. Thankfully, though, kept it straight, and we will stay green.
A lot of shuffling as a result. Garrett Austin gets stuck on the top now behind him. And in turn, Calvert's a sitting duck. Everybody wants to zip by quickly, to the point where they're not afraid to take it 3 wide here. This is usually where trouble becomes afoot when you have so many close calls here, Ewan.
Yeah, Mike Toomer Jr. as well nearly got caught up behind him. That's where you don't want to be. You don't want to be stuck in behind the 16 going into a corner here, because you'll get freight tried by everybody on the inside.
Here's a look at the replay of no. Schmidt broke a tire rod from this hit. That's enough to end his race, at least in the lead lap.
Got loose on his own, really, off of 4 there. I thought there was contact, actually, when I saw it initially, but no, just loose on his own, straight in the wall, but thankfully didn't take out anyone else with him.
3 wide as Calvert nearly hooks Austin Hunter. One of the one-back trucks able to zip by closely there is Evan Williams, who is just in the last incident. Already moves himself up a spot as well. And Calvert very much has to be regretting that decision as it's 2x2 in parts of the field.
I think he may have regretted it as soon as he saw every single other car in the field, apart from himself, come down pit lane. 27 other cars came down pit lane under that first caution. He was the only one that stayed out. To be fair, I'm surprised he was the only one that stayed out. I didn't mind the call initially, but as I said at the time, if you find yourself on your own out there, you know that more than likely you've made the wrong call.
Put this into perspective, he's running 32.7s. He's the slowest truck on the racetrack, and it's not even close. Not even quicker than Brett Adams, who is in the wall and is off the pace by a second. Taking a look at the 90s still. John Jones slowly starting to make up speed. His mid-run pace seems to be there as he now battles in the battle of those with an initial letter in their iRacing names. It's Tanner D. Johnson.
Yes, at 53, searching up high through 3 and 4 for a bit of room here on Garrett Austin, then switches to the inside. Nice little switchback, if you like, to the inside for 1 and 2. Should have this done for 6th place.
And nicely done as Garrett Austin gives up the ghost. Able to shuffle back into line. And that's kind of the game plan in most cases, though, because yeah, you can make a squeeze up from the top line, maybe defend if you clear by turn 3. But as we've already seen, you go up the wall like the 27 of Austin Hunter, your tires aren't going to be feeling as good later in the run.
No, you're going to be suffering later. It just depends how long you think it's going to run green for. If you think that we've already had the longest green flag run and we're just going to see that again and again 4 times or more over the course of today, then it doesn't really matter if you're going all out. But if you take that gamble and this race runs green to the end, then you are going to be in trouble.
Taking a look at Colton Easterday, who's up to 13th. He's been picking it up a lot in terms of the virtual racing and the officials, as we talked about a little bit. But in turn, his speed from RBM Shake slowly coming together as well in this race. He's running 31.8, just a couple tenths off the leaders, but in the midst of the dirty air train.
Yeah, it's one long train running down from roughly the edge of the top 5, if you like. Maybe Tanner Johnson, you could say, at the front of this one. But it doesn't mean there's no racing within it. That was Jordan Miller going to the inside of Mike Toomer Jr. there through 3 and 4. That didn't happen, and now Colton East today is almost on the apron looking for 12th place.
Well, technically, that's one of the interesting things when it comes to this track. During the repave, that yellow line, for some reason, was more made so oblong on the apron. In real-life action, before the track essentially took a hiatus to operations in the past couple of years. Remember, it was Cole Custer, a part of that crazy win for his first career Cup Series victory, that seen drivers go underneath that line to the point where they're lifting off the ground on some of the bumps that are at the start and finish line.
Yes, it's certainly a unique layout, this racetrack. There's no doubt about that, and unfortunately, not one we've been to for a while in real life, but we're here in iRacing, which is a good thing, and back again for, what, just over another 20 minutes here for the opening round of the Truck Series this season.
23 minutes to be precise, about 42 laps estimated to go, so the green light on fuel is on. Most of the field cannot make it on gas, no matter what, keep in mind. So we might be in a situation when we see a splash and dash if it stays green.
And that's why, if I was, at this point, if I was Marty Calvert, I would be in the pit lane. Benefit from the new tyres, at least do something, because if a yellow comes out right now, everyone's going to be in again, and you're going to be last anyway. So take a gamble on this going green all the way and try and pit in and undercut everybody would be my call from here. But yeah, we've certainly seen the wrong call made there under the first and so far only yellow flag.
Of note, as you see it on the pylon, the battle for the lead swapping around. Some of the drivers are staying single file, but others like Cal Gill, you see up front, is starting to feel the pressure. Kirby looking to the inside. He tried it from the outside last time. Now he's at risk of losing second.
Yeah, it's Fonseca, who was given the slipstream there by Cowgill as well, just on the exit of 4. And it's given the 413 the second spot for the moment. I think Cowgill would really rather Kirby not be in second place and putting up that pressure on him as we've got trouble in turn 1.
Caution flags out for the second time. That's McGarvey, Easterday, that entire group we were just watching for about 10th on back. And for the second time today, I have a feeling 3 led into 1.
Yep. Well, it's what we saw for the first caution when we it got Brett Adams into the outside wall. He was down pit lane for a minute. There it is again. It's outside wall into turn 1 again.
And that will likely end the day for McGarvey. That's a meatball flag for the 77 truck. McGarvey, significant damage as a result of the hard slam for his Whataback racing machine. And this should get the drivers to the end on gas. They do have a couple of tire sets on hand. This helps Calvert, who was dead last, outside of those who had not been involved in incidents. But now, this is the caution that makes everyone comfortable, at least, on the fuel about 17 laps in. That seems to be the give or take about 15 laps each of the runs so far under green flag conditions.
Yep, get in pit lane, everybody here, I think is going to be the call. The 31's going to lead them down. Patrick Cowgill getting onto the limit, speed limit, and everyone will follow, apart from McGarvey and Easterday, of course, who already escaped back to pit lane. They are going to get some lengthy repairs. Dylan Schmidt re-emerged, actually, from the pit lane, by the way. There we are. A couple of trucks getting repairs. The rest of them should be 4 tyres and fuel.
Clean stop into the box for Patrick Cowgill.
Whoa,
Oh, and
Kirby.
not so clean for Kirby. Yes, he ends up having to back it up. That might cost him at least a couple spots here.
Surely will cost him a couple of spots. It's going to be Cowgill off first. Good stop from him, right on the marks. Where's Kirby going to be? Fonseca goes past. Kirby's going to be back on the 3rd row at least here. He's off 5th behind Johnson and Adams, who get into 3rd and 4th.
So in turn, Kirby back to 5th. Garrett Austin, Panzarella, Beaver, Doomer Jr., and Austin Hunter, the top 10. Now that brings the attention to that machine in 8th. Remember, Beaver led the way in practice, seemed to be very comfortable with the truck, but didn't have the qualifying speed. The qualifying lap, mind you, was half a second off the pole for the 60. And now we might see some fireworks from that machine. Phil Beaver amongst those who seem to be one of the quickest in those in the heart of the pack, able to make up spots here.
It's proved to be pretty tricky, actually, for some trucks to make their way through the field, but if you can get up towards the front, then you are in with a decent chance of getting a top result here. I think it is still going to be between Cowgill and Fonseca based on what we've seen so far. I think Kirby is going to have a lot of work to do from 5th, although he did display the pace that maybe would take him to a top 5, top 3 result at the end of the day.
Beaver is your biggest mover in 16 positions gained. 15 gained for Evan Williams, Tom Embassy, and Austin Hunter up 8. Dylan Smith has lost the most spots with the meatball flag he had to get the suspension fixed for. And he's one of those who's towards the back right now, 6 laps down. So as they get pacing along here, touching upon what's expected for the season, remember, this is a fixed setup series where it's the minimum 1,000 I rating, 2,500 is the maximum. Subject to director exception to be able to run in these respective trucks. You have fixed weather, you have the iRacing fixed setup, you have max fuel, you just go and race and try and keep the truck clean. It gives a good opportunity when you think about it for drivers to develop their skills and then prove, okay, I can win in these trucks. Then they can see if they want to explore the higher ranks like we see for the Grand National car or the Cup car.
Yeah, it creates a nice ladder with the PRL to have the truck series here still going well with nearly 30 trucks entered tonight, for example. We've got the Grand National Series, as you say, coming up a little bit later tonight, and then the Sunday Series, the Cup Series also. So it gives a nice ladder for those that want to, move up if you would like that. But I know that there's a few on this grid, for example, who have raced in all of them, or certainly a few of the series. I remember Tom Amasi in the 15th place at the moment, the 05 car. He's raced in the Cup Series in the past, and so, you know, I've seen Miguel Fonseca in GT3s, for example. It gives you a great chance to do loads of different things in the PRL with all of these series on different nights and so on, but I think it's a good idea to keep a limit maybe on some of the really top I-rated drivers, because you know, we don't want to see someone dominating the whole time, and thankfully we haven't had that so far in this race.
And when you think about it, really, in real world stock car racing, it is like essentially the ladder. Truck to Grand National to the highest level of the Cup cars. And that's kind of the method when you think about it here too, is it builds that ladder where you have the trucks and Grand National, both fixed series for this season, mind you, open for the Cup cars in 2024 Season 1. Just about all set to get back underway. Meanwhile, 15 minutes on the clock. Patrick Cowgill, Miguel Angel Fonseca, Blaine Adams, Tanner Johnson, Stephen Kirby, Garrett Austin, your top 6. Cowgill's led 29 laps so far. Can he hold off the crowd to try and get the first win of the season? Let's find out. Because the pace truck is off, the green flag is out, we're back to racing. And already peaking 2 and 3 wide. Zeka having to hold off some hard charge attempts from Johnson, and that causes a checkup of anything with contact.
Wow, you can tell the aggression has been turned up. We're in the final 15 because everyone, all of a sudden, is wanting all of the road. Fonseca up so high and wide through 3 and 4.
And yes, he did have a heart meter on that camera for tonight. Interesting enough, it seems calmer in the midst of the panels than it is just down the straightaway. Well,
I'm surprised about that. Only 100 at this stage is quite low for what's going on around him. Maybe just good at staying calm, I suppose. But this is the real high moment of the race in terms of tension and drama, and he seems very calm does Miguel Angel Fonseca.
Outside for third. He's been one of those confident to stick it on the outside in the early runs. He's up to third again. But look who's charging in second. For the first time all race, Blaine Adams has a chance for the race lead. The Adams family racing truck wants to go and wants to go quickly. About 26 estimated laps to go up the stripe if it stays green.
Yeah, the 33 car looks to be a little bit more sprightly now. It's in a little bit cleaner air with just one truck in front of it rather than multiple, which it had earlier on. Adams throwing his hat into the ring maybe for a win here. Fonseca still third and Kirby up to fourth. The real main contenders are here for the win now.
For the race lead, Adams inside, Cowgill on the outside. Cowgill trying to get the pinch. Adams has the preferred line for 3. Adams on the send. Cowgill with the squeeze again. Here comes Fonseca looking to pick up the pieces of the battle as Adams can't clear. He gets shuffled into a fight for second.
Well, the outside line is starting to come into its own through 3 and 4 here. Fonseca on the outside could be clear into 1 here.
Still can't clear fully though. It is close though. And Fonseca has the chance, but just no one can fully clear it unless they get the run like that one to fully shut the door on the battle.
Look how high Fonseca is as well here. So wide through the corners, but he's making it work as well. We were talking about earlier about the inside line prevailing, and it really was earlier, but it seems that the outside with every lap and with every attempt, it sort of gets more successful with every driver that tries it.
In turn, though, Blaine Adams having to reset in the battle for third now, essentially, with Kirby getting close again. The top 5 have broken away a bit because everybody's busy fighting the battle of those with very colorful paint schemes. Garrett Austin in the Gold Octopus is battling one of the Daily Drivers Incorporated machines, Zach Panzarella, covered in roses and flowers. And then you have the 60 with the plainest paint scheme of them all, and Phil Beaver wanting to continue his charge.
Yeah, this is sort of creating that gap to the top 5, as you say. Panzarella really wide through 3 and 4 on that last lap. Not so much maybe through 1 and 2 on this occasion for Austin Hunter, although he is making some headway there on the very outside. This is a battle for 6th place though, and might well not be any position higher than that if they continue like this.
And burn up their equipment like the way they're doing. Austin Hunter in turn picks up 1 spot, looks for another. That's currently 7th place on track that he ends up backing out of. So 22 to go as Beaver nearly hits the back end of him. Austin Hunter got a break and then some there.
He was very sure that he was clear there, or as you say, he was given a break, because that was superbly close between the two through 1 and 2 as the battle for 3rd continues.
That's Boyd Adams back to the top side on the squeeze up. Inside line for Stephen Kirby. And Kirby, remember, started off this race on the pole, immediately felt the pressure and got shuffled back here. At the very least, Kirby wants good points to start off this season. With the way he's been racing, he's not afraid to side draft.
Oh, and that was close. Adams was aggressive into 3 and 4, trying to cut off the run, if you like, on the way into 3 for Kirby. And now Tanner Johnson could take advantage of that in the 53, although not very far alongside into 1 and 2. Johnson's going to back out.
Johnson in turn, looking to try and set up the diamond for the chance on Kirby. Can't fully set it up quite yet. So the top 2 from all of that move back, contact towards the wall. That's Philip Beaver amongst those shuffling out. We still look at the battle with Kirby. He holds off the charge again from Johnson. And down to under 10 minutes on the clock. Under 20 laps estimated to go.
Yeah, that was the tyre smoke of the 60, just scraping along the wall on the exit of 2 there. Seen that a couple of times actually from that second group. It is a little bit closer than this front one now, which has started to space out over the course of these 5 minutes. Fonseca, the only driver now within half a second of the lead.
Peak and another send for 6th. And another launch from Philip Beaver. You talk about licking the stamp. Beaver nearly sent it through the mailbox and nearly overtopped the neighbor's fence.
Yeah, that was nearly into the fence there for Philip Beaver. Now he's going to be down the inside of the 27 into 1 and 2. Hunter getting a bit of joy around there though. Seen the high line come into its own a little bit more, and the 27 will hang on.
A couple people did say expect the top to come in a bit, and was thinking, when I heard that thought process, it was like, okay, it's Kentucky. No way, right? I think they meant middle with the way we've seen drivers be able to squeeze their opponents on down to make some of these passes tonight.
Yeah, it's the way to do it on the outside. Just squeeze your opponent, on, especially on the way into 3, seems to be effective. We saw that from Adams in the 33 there to hang on to 3rd spot. You just got to squeeze a little bit from that middle lane, and then you should be able to hang on. We'll see if Miguel Angel Fonseca can do that in the next 8 minutes. He looks like the most likely candidate to take this race win away from the 31.
Now keep in mind a chance for some history in the early going of the season, because one time, just one time, Cal Gills won on a Wednesday night. For Fonseca, the total was 0. And you can already see the language along the sides of his webcam. He's looking to forget how to turn right. And he's already trying to forget about what happened, it looks like, from yesterday's start of the PRL campaign for the calendar year. How would this be if he can get himself in front in this truck? Under 8 minutes to go. He's now got a chance, but not electing to send it to the side-by-side yet.
Just backed out with it there. It felt like he could have gone through, but just didn't want to at that stage. Is he going to use the apron? Will it be inside into 1, or is it going to be the outside? Is he going to use that middle lane we've been talking about to squeeze Cargill on that inside line? It's very difficult to tell for the moment. He's shaping the move up on the middle lane through 3 and 4 and gets a run again. Now goes to the low side for the start finish line.
A 5-time winner in road course action for the PRL. Fonseca goes to the inside for the race lead. He leads for the first time this season. And with under 7 minutes to go, is that going to be enough to hold off Cowgill?
Well, I thought he was going to go for the switchback from the 31 there, but he didn't go for it. And the 413 is finding a bit of joy up on the middle line now, not even staying to the inside through 3 and 4 voluntarily. Even while leading, he went to the middle lane there.
In turn, Cowgill's speed, for reference, last time by about a tenth slower. He's trying to back up the corners a lot more compared to Fonseca, who's trying to send it a little bit more deeper. Here's Cowgill up on the wheel, trying to keep up with the speed. Under 6 minutes on the clock, about 12 laps to go.
That is quite some concentration from the driver of the 31, and there's no tyre conservation games going on anymore. Fonseca finds the middle lane again. He's got to be careful that he doesn't end up in the outside wall doing that. On the inside, you're a lot less prone to it, and you can sort of make sure that you get that good exit from the turn. If you get it wrong from the middle, you've absolutely had it. So he's got to make sure he gets it right. Good run through 1 and 2 for the 31 there, but no chance for a move. Can he get one in the next 5 minutes?
It's going to take some mistakes, if anything, from up front. There's a little mistake. Fonseca went a little bit too hard through 3 and 4. Cowgill starting to look over to the shoulder. About 5 minutes and 9 seconds to go. About 10 estimated to go. Getting a little bit wobbly.
On the apron there was the 31. He's looking a little bit lower. Constantly, he's just that half lane lower through 1 and 2. And he's a whole lane lower through 3 and 4. Is that going to help him go to the inside here?
Not able to get alongside, but Fonseca is burning up the tires. Last time by, he was a tenth of a second slower. Cowgill looks to the inside, looking for the side draft. Takes it towards the apron as he looks for the race lead. Cowgill back up the inside. Lap 55 underway. Cowgill looking to try and get to the inside. Fonseca not afraid to send it on the outside still.
He doesn't mind it up there. He really doesn't, and he's got the run as well. He'll get the benefit of the banking on that high line. What about into 3 and 4? He's often very, very high into here. Can he just rip round the top of the racetrack here to take the lead again, Fonseca? I think he will.
He's been burning up that right front tire while doing so. It's worked for now. 4 minutes to go. About 8 more laps to try and settle things. Cowgill looking to reset. Keep in mind, Stephen Kirby is slowly crawling back into the conversation. He was 2 tenths quicker than the both of them last time by.
Yeah, he's getting back into this. Blaine Adams is not going to have the speed, and neither is anybody else. It's going to be between these top 3, if not only the top 2. Cowgill gave it everything for lap after lap on that last attempt there. He's going to have to take another minute or 2 to size up his next and maybe last chance.
Cowgill still backing up the corners for now, though. Looking for the run off corner exit to try and set up the side-by-side. Remember, the last time he started doing that, Fonseca started missing the bottom of the racetrack in 3 and 4. Does that happen again? It is again! Fonseca up the track. Cowgill to the inside. Alongside the corner panel, can't get the side trap this time. Fonseca gets it clear for now.
6 to go as we cross the line here. Cowgill to the inside and should be alongside here. This will allow Kirby right into the equation.
Fonseca has to lift this time, though. No run from Cowgill. And as you mentioned, Kirby within 4 trunk lengths of the battle. Coming up to the start of lap 59, about 5 estimated laps to go. Fonseca continuing to struggle in 3 and 4. That's Cowgill's better corner. Cowgill can't get alongside yet with under 2.5 minutes to go.
I think that's just where Fonseca has sort of ended up with the tyres, as you say. Is that just where he's most comfortable with this stage of the race now? Up high at the moment, because he clearly thinks that that's the best way for him to try and win this one, and at the moment he's proving to be correct. Fonseca is not going to be passed as things stand. Cowgill needs a lap or 2 to figure it out, and he's only going to have 4 at the line.
Cowgill needs to go. He needs to close up quick. Down to 4 estimated laps to go, under 2 minutes on the clock. Kirby staying within the line, needs both of them to battle to have a shot. Fonseca refusing to go to the bottom in 1 and 2, and it somehow is still working.
Somehow he's pulling this off at the moment, and it's sort of counterintuitive, but Calgo's running out of laps, and he's all of a sudden coming under pressure from Kirby, who may be his bigger concern now.
Down to under 90 seconds to go. Fonseca looking for his first ever oval win in the PRL. Here's Kirby. Kirby in all this too is still the fastest of the three, but there's no time to pass them both unless they get alongside here. It looks like he's letting Calgill battle it out.
Looks like it. Well, I suppose if they collide, he can take advantage. If that does happen, I just don't think the 31's going to have enough chances here. It's going to be close enough. He's stuck at that quarter-second mark that they're at the moment.
Under 2 estimated laps to go. In turn, about a 20-second offset in terms of how long these laps have been rolling, about 33-second laps. Expect the white flag at the stripe when they come around this time. Calgill starting to close back up again. Calgill backing it up. Kirby doing the same. Up the track goes Fonseca. He's been able to keep single file on corner exit. Calgill has his biggest chance for a run. Coming to the white flag, this time by. Here comes Calgill.
And finally, Fonseca got it wrong. Calgill looks to the inside, and now the outside and the inside again. Into 1 and 2 they go, side by side for the win on the last lap.
Side by side, and now nearly to the quarter panel. Calgill can't get the side draft this time. He looks for the send. Pushes Fonseca up. Pressurizes him up the racetrack. Calgill alongside. Fonseca tries to avoid the wall. Side by side. For the race win, a drag race. It is Miguel Egno Fonseca for his first oval win in the PRL, his 6th career PRL victory.
And finally, he realises it as well. He's still calm, by the way. 120 was his maximum, as his heart rate said there. But he's pleased now. He can finally relax. He wins it by a nose. What a start to the season here at Kentucky. Fantastic race between the two. Calgill very nearly timed that to absolute perfection.
And it took one last defense of 14 one-thousandths of a second for Fonseca to pick up his first win on Wednesday nights. An exciting finish for the road course racer. All his previous wins previously in GT cars. Now, he's got himself a truck win. So the celebration's on for the 413 machine to start off the new season and the brand new calendar year, as he picks it up by 14 100ths over Patrick Calgill. Stephen Kirby in third, Austin Hunter and Blaine Adams the top 5, Tanner Johnson in 6th, Zach Panzarella in 7th. Marty Calvert recovered to 8th. What a charge from the 16. Quietly as they battle for the race win, he came back to the field and came all the way to 8th. Garrett Austin and Jordan Miller, your top 10. Phil Beaver of note after that wall scrape we talked about, he went to 11th. Tom Embassy and Mike Toomer Jr., the top 13. And Kowski, after being involved in the earlier trouble, to 14th. Evan Williams the same to 15th. Andrew Sharp in 16th. Mackie Pelt, Awakaga, and Latshaw, the top 20. 21st went to Zachary Austin. Nicholas Hunter, Antonio Bannister had some troubles in the late going for the drivetrain motorsport machine. Brett Adams finished 24th. John T. Jones in 25th. Dylan Smith, 6 laps down, and 2 drivers did not finish. Kevin McGarvey, Colton Easterday, DNFs, a DNS for Stacy Hunter. Already our podium finisher standing on alongside, and for the first time on the oval side of PRL's competitions, it's Miguel Fonseca who comes away with a victory. Miguel, how does it feel to get yourself a win in the trucks? It's your 6th career win in the PRL, but your first on an oval.
It was just great. This is actually my first time racing in an oval that is not a super speedway, so it was kind of tricky. I was practicing the whole week, but yeah, it's so much fun.
Talk us through that battle with Patrick Calgill, because you were one of the Fury few to make the outside line work. But talk us through that fight that in turn came up to your advantage by the end.
Well, I was struggling so much with the front rear temperatures and the tires. So yeah, I tried the high lane and it seemed to work. So I stick to it. But at the end, I was making like, I don't know if many mistakes or if the tires just were giving up. But Calhill was catching up so fast. But yeah, at the end, it was a crazy finish, and I'm glad that I came out first.
So in turn, how do you look to follow this up? Because obviously your first oval win, 1 for 1. Going to be interesting to try and go for 2 for 2. What is your thoughts on Rockingham, which is even worse on the tires?
I don't even know the track. I couldn't say anything. I have to learn it and practice. And yeah, I don't have any commentary since I've never run it.
Well, thank you very much for the time. Congratulations on your first oval victory.
Thanks a lot.
Fonseca coming away with the victory here tonight. Second spot on the racetrack going to Patrick Calgill. So close to win number 2 in his PRL career. He's with Ewan.
Patrick, welcome to the booth. Good to have you with us, and congratulations on second place. But it was so near to so much more. Tell us about those final 10 laps or so. I thought, I've got to say that you were gently dropping away there, and you weren't going to get there. But in the end, in the final couple of laps, you really did challenge. Was it a case of you waiting for those final couple of laps, or were you going all out all race long?
Yeah, I kind of dropped back a little bit because I felt like he was over driving the entry to the corner. I don't know if maybe he was using brake or something to get his truck to turn, but that last lap, oh, I was so close.
It was so close. And I mean, the whole run was a great battle between the two of you. At one point, it looked like you were going to beat the field by seconds, but obviously the battle put paid to that. Just how different was the truck at the end of the race compared to the start? Obviously, the tyre degradation was pretty big in terms of lap times. How did it feel by the end of the race?
Well, to be honest, that last run actually wasn't too bad. I started off the run feeling a little bit looser than I had the first 2 runs. And towards the end, I was probably about as tight as I was at the end of those first 2 runs.
Well, it was a good run to second place, Patrick. Congratulations on that. A good start to the season, and thanks very much for coming to chat to us as well.
Yep, thank you guys.
Thanks very much. Patrick Calgill, second place here tonight at the season opener of the Truck Series.
Third spot tonight, meanwhile, went the way of Stephen Kirby, where we mentioned some drivers looking for some first. Stephen Kirby did get his first pole in the PRL. Stephen, talk us through what happened from your perspective here tonight.
Yeah, I had a good night, good start. Couple mistakes on my end, and then paired with the track that's so hard to pass, just kind of relegated me to third. But, we'll try to clean it up and do a little better next time.
What happened in terms of that first mistake you're referring to with the battle for the lead and the battle up front?
That one wasn't too bad. I just didn't want to push too hard. My biggest mistake was sliding through the pit box there and came out like 4th or 5th. That really hurt me on that. I think it was the last caution. So it's so hard to get around people, burn your tires up, get around 2 guys. And I ran down the leaders, but I didn't have anything for them once I got there.
Well, in turn, Rockingham's next on the schedule. How do you look to try and take the momentum of top 3 finish to the Rock? Try to keep up the pole streak that you just started.
Yeah, we'll see how that goes. I'm excited. I like Rockingham, but I don't know how much speed I'll have compared to everyone else. But we'll put in the practice this coming week and see what we can do.
Thank you very much for the time, Stephen.
Thanks, I appreciate it, and thanks for the broadcast and my RBM team and all my teammates. Been a big help this week. I appreciate it.
Once again, that's Stephen Kirby rounding out the top 3 tonight. I'd like to thank the entire top 3 for taking the time to speak with us during post-race coverage for the Truck Series, because remember, they go short track racing next. It's the Rock, the historic circuit. Hard on tires, hard on trucks, hard on sheet metal as we look to see how they race next week on the short track, Ewan.
Yeah, it's a little bit retro, as you say, if you want to put it like that. It's not really like any other circuit on the calendar, and so looking forward to seeing how it goes in 1 week's time at Rockingham. So yeah, looking forward to that and the start of the season, to be honest. As we said earlier, it's a bizarre start to the season with the likes of Willow Springs in there. As you reminded me, actually, Chicagoland as well. Not a circuit we'll be seeing too much of over the officials this year again. So, and maybe for the next couple. So, it's good to have that on the start of the calendar as well. Yeah, it's a good start to the season, and what a way to start it as well here at Kentucky with a photo finish at the start of the season. It's a good way to start.
An exciting finish to start, but it's time to start another series and its season. Now it's time to change the gears and head to the Irish Hills of Michigan, a little bit back in time as well. We're at the legacy version of iRacing's virtual Michigan International Speedway, PRL's Grand National Series, as they look to go racing for 55 minutes to start off the season here from Brooklyn, Michigan. Here's a look at the schedule. Interestingly enough, the first 3 races on the schedule are all legacy versions of the respective circuits. Michigan, Indy, and Atlanta. Nashville and Chicagoland will have to rock the fantasy portions before we head to the real world schedule following pattern. An interesting schedule, but a interesting note in terms that a lot of 1.5 to 2 mile circuits in the early going before that February 14th mark.
Yeah, and we do have some similar style ones at the sort of end of the season as well, in terms of Atlanta and Las Vegas as well. So that's going to be interesting to see. But yeah, it's just a bit of a legacy start to the season, if you like, and there's nothing wrong with that at all. 2 miles around here, of course, and a similar amount of banking to what we just saw at Kentucky, although a little bit more in the turns, and they are the same turns this time as well, if you like, throughout Michigan here tonight. So looking forward to seeing how the Grand National Series gets underway for another season, and whether we can get a photo finish, maybe a second photo finish of the evening, but we'll see about that.
30 plus entrants here tonight. We get ready for qualifying. Keep in mind, the in-sim day is the exact same as what we just seen at Kentucky, near identical start time as well. As a matter of fact, the weather conditions just about identical, it's worth noting, as the drivers get ready for qualifying. In fact, 81 and 100, just about identical to what we've seen at the green flag at Kentucky and Sparta, Kentucky. Well, never mind, it just went up 7 degrees. Thank you very much. Somehow 5 minutes make 7 degrees into the racetrack. But in turn, a lot of heavy hitters in the field tonight. A lot of returning drivers, yes, but a lot of the top drivers are your veterans of the series or veterans of eNASCAR in general. Richard Regan Jr., Dustin Scruggs, Bradley Hawley, Colton Lane, and how about the driver who is expected to turn a lot of heads tonight, Brandon Bowie, and Bowie Esports making his way over to PRL. Remember, that's a driver who used to run in the early seasons of Coke, who's also making his first run of the season tonight.
Yeah, that'd be fantastic to get him on board and watch him out there in the Grand National Series here tonight for its opening round at Michigan. And there is the 4 on the pit road at the moment. 5 minutes for qualifying here, of course, but limited amount of laps, and so not much time for you to get yourself up to speed here tonight in the qualifying session, which we'll be able to see all of. There's the 23 making its way out onto the track as well at the moment of Bowie. So we'll see how everybody gets on over the course of the day, because it's going to be important again, as we saw at Kentucky. It's going to be important qualifying to get up towards the front and then stay there throughout the race.
Taking a look at Bradley Hawley, the all-time win leader when it comes to not just the PRL in general, but of course Wednesday nights. Hawley, a longtime series veteran, multiple championships to his name. When it comes to racing in fixed setups, to say the very least, it's hard to beat the man in the 184 car. Yeah,
not a fan of the word winningest. I'm not, but you know, maybe that's what we should go for him. Anyway, he's looking for another one of those wins tonight. Second so far. Andrew Phipps so far, the fastest time, but very early times coming in here for this session. People not really quite up to speed yet.
Taking look at Bowie. In recent years, he's made a couple runs in the Road to Pro ladder. He's also ran in RSR on Monday nights here on RaceSpot, the Zoko Series. And Bowie, to start things up for his first qualify of the season, gets himself in the top 5. Reese Bogue up to second. Andrew Phipps still top of the board with a 39.7. Here's a look at Joey Tebbin. He's one of those looking to feel the miracle flow. And usually you see the haircuts and whatnot. How about a different look for the driver tonight? Because it looks like an normal paint scheme inside, all right, for the 06. You go to the outside and it's bananas.
Heaven's sake, Joey, what has he done here? Oh, it's reflective as well. I don't know what material that is, but it's not nice for my eyes. It's reflecting off everything, and it's not very nice. Anyway,
well,
he's distinctive. We're not going to miss him.
Well, last season he made an honor by basically making a paint scheme about Comic Sans, or rather Times New Roman, I think it was. Ted Lowendick, his teammate, looking to pick up some speed as well. You also have of those in the RaceSpot grouping, Terry Ratford, who's a part of Reese Bogan's development group. Lowendick, though, in 11th. He's in a very similar paint scheme. And in turn, his purple machine looks to try and see if they can keep up the bananas machine speed.
Yeah, they are not going to be missed over the when you're looking down the field of 30 cars getting underway earlier. We're going to be able to spot them in a crowd, certainly. Lowendick makes his way off of 4 now, dives to the apron, currently 11th in the 27, and that will be a slight improvement, and it'll get him to 11th at least, as Mark Kalin moves up to 4th.
So, Nick McLaughlin we now follow along with. He's also a part of those with that interesting scheming look this time. He's in the red. Now, interesting enough, the team name apparently was approved, called Ain't No What About Girls. Yes, that is in reference to the song from the 2000s. I think it was Gwen Stefani that did the song. I feel old.
You'll have to educate me on that, because I've never heard of that before. But is that American song, I suppose?
Yes, Ain't No How Back Girl is the reference to the song from Gwen Stefani.
Okay, well, I'll believe you, but I wouldn't be able to tell you if you're wrong.
I've heard the song, for those wondering. It's just been a decade. Let's look at the qualifying order as we get ready for the race. 55 minutes. It should be an interesting one here tonight. We get all set to go, and somehow the cars are trucks. They are cars. Phipps and Regan Jr. are on the front row. We can tell you that, though. The 2023 champion is on the outside of the front row with a special banner. Also amongst those tonight, Reese Bogue, Mark Kalin, Holly and Scruggs, Bowie and Dunkelberger are amongst your top 8. Zemke and Tebbin will be amongst your top 10 in this one, Ewan.
Yeah, it's a very star-studded top 10. Bradley Holly is in there in 5th position in the 184. You see the front row, Phipps and Reagan there. You can see the 22 and the 56 lined up on the front row already, raring to go. Terry Radford, as you say, is a bit further down in 27th position to start off with, but it's a bit of a longer race, this one. I wouldn't be so worried about being down towards the back here, but those 40 minutes flew past pretty quickly in the truck, so I imagine these 55 are going to fly past pretty quickly as well.
Of note, Ted Lowendick and Steve Loving back to top 12. Here's a look at the cars that are now cars. Phipps, Regan Jr., Bogue, Kalin, Holly, and Scruggs, the top 6. Dustin Scruggs, of note, now a part of the development program for Reese and Bogan. Then it's Bowie and Dunkelberger, teammates. Adam Zemke, Joey Tebbin in 10th, Lowendick and Loving. Looking to see if he can find some loving positions from 12th. Matt Gagnon in 13th, Dominic Began in 14th. Then it's Nick Silver in 15th in a Dale Jr. throwback in a Ford. Then it's Colton Lane and his Mark Martin throwbacks in a Chevy. Thomas Sink and Nick McLaughlin, the top 18. Then Doug Evans and Jacob Emery back in 20th. Mike Knight back in 21st. He'll start alongside the default paint scheme from James Morgan from Tabula Rasa Esports. Then it's Nick Bayer in 23rd. Jeff Evans in 24th in a more traditional Miracle Flow car. Jim Westerfield and Paul Williams II. Then Terry Radford is back in 27th. Danny Cervantes and Matthew Smith, 29, who took times. Dalton Gayer in 30th, and Joshua Telez rounds out the entrants here tonight. 31 cars, all 31 make it to the pace lap. So in turn, expecting about 80 laps or so in this one. Now look at the conditions one more time. Your keys to win at Michigan tonight.
Well, it's going to be something similar to what we saw at Kentucky. The first of them has already passed, qualify up towards the front, but other than that, staying out of trouble. It's going to, prove to be very obvious towards the end who has got the speed to win, speed and positioning to win, because we saw in that previous race we had maybe 3 trucks able to, with the positioning and speed to win. Maybe we could have added a couple more that were out of position, but you've got to combine those two things, staying out of trouble and staying up towards the front, because if you make it there by the time we see the final restart of this race, whenever that may be, you will be in with a shout of winning the first round of the Grand National Series here this season.
Glad to have you with us for the second portion of our coverage of PRL's Wednesday night stock car action. It's the Grand National Series for its first race of 2024. Andrew Phipps is on the pole. Green flag is out. The Battle Beaver machine is off and away for the green flag at Michigan. And the battle's already on for the race lead. Regan Jr. timed up the launch perfectly. He's looking for the lead on the outside already. Phipps trying to send it, able to hold on to the point.
It was a great reaction from Regan Jr. on the start there to sort of anticipate that almost and stay completely level with the 22 over the line. They're level again over the start-finish line for the end of the first lap.
Crossover from Regan Jr. That gives him the lead in turn and a teammate behind. Expect this to happen a lot tonight. While dirty air can be a major factor at this track, a lot of drivers can get runs here because of the draft effect.
And we just saw that for Regan, straight through into the lead. But is the 22 going to be leading again by turn 1? I suspect so. There's Regan just going to have to look to the inside to make sure that there's no one, he's not going to be taken out, and he won't be. Over the line, he will lead another lap.
One of the all-time winning stock car racers. Joined in the series for action a few years ago. Has won multiple championships in the Cup Series. Has also done so most recently in this Grand National car. Look at the gaggle behind him, though. Dustin Scruggs, Mark Kalin, Bradley Hawley are getting into some 3-wide shuffling. Kalin is amongst those trying to run along the edge of the first seam in that side-by-side now for 5th.
He's stuck up on the inside here, but it's not been a very good run at all for Reese Bogue there in the 4 car. He's got kind of in the way of Scruggs, if you like, and now everybody's stacked up behind.
Bogue holding on to 3rd in the midst of this. Rear-wheeled USAC quarter midget driver in his youth, able to hold things steady as the side-by-side builds up now with Hawley joining it. Interesting enough in all of this, Joey Tebbin's got the popcorn seat to all of this in what he described as his best qualifying spot in a while after he did a fixed race to practice for this one.
It's certainly paid off. He is on his own there in the yellow and watching the 5 cars in front just battle with one another quite fiercely at this stage. Bradley Hawley has sort of assumed that waiting position at the moment as well, but Joey's going to have to get involved here unless he wants to be involved in a 3-wide moment himself very soon.
Offset 3 wide. Dustin Scruggs moves back up to 3rd. One of the RBM entries. Meanwhile, back in 2nd is Andrew Phipps with all that. Bogue trying to play some defense on Brian Dunkelberger. Knuckleberger doesn't like defense, he likes side jobs.
That was a proper send from the 26 there, and he slides up in front of the 4 to take that place. Meanwhile, Phipps is going for the lead.
Side by side for the point again. Back and forth they go in the early going. Expect this to continue for the next few laps at least. Already about 5 laps down. Phipps on the send. Trying to paint the line. Regan Jr.'s got the chance for the run, though, down the backstretch.
And he's going to be pushed by Shuggs as well, so he's going to get there. The 11's going to push him along and almost clear him into 3 here. If he's going to take that if he wants it, but he'll stay in the middle, and actually Phipps sends it back in again, painting the line again through 3 and 4. He'll slide up. They won't make contact, but Regan will be leading at the line.
Phipps in turn getting shuffled back as a result. Purple IMCA modified racer getting shuffled back now into the battle for second. Lots of good exciting action to say the very least up front. Scruggs wants in on it. He's alongside for second.
And this is going to allow the 11 through. 22 gets sort of stuck on the inside off of 2 and then sort of freight trained on the outside by cars sort of slipstreaming off of one another. Then he has a great entry to 3 and 4. That inside line, certainly a good avenue for the 22. And he just doesn't get the run off the corner. That's the problem, but that's to be expected. I guess the thing that's not to be expected is everybody helping one another on the outside. There's 4 in a line there, maybe more.
And none of them can fully clear.
Oh.
Phipps tried to send it again side by side. Nearly turned the leader for his good efforts. Scruggs in turn in trouble.
Ooh.
Contact Ted Lowendick in the wall. Joey Tevin said sliding. Brandon Bowie involved and several more slam on the apron. Caution flags out for the first time in the Grand Nationals this season.
Yeah, Lowendick and Tevin both taken out in that one. Unfortunately, Ted Lowendick is straight back to the pit lane after that crash, and it's taken out and damaged a lot of race cars, I'm afraid, in that one.
So Ted Lowendick immediately out of the race car, and immediately meatball flags. Thomas Sink, Nick Baer, many more involved. Wow.
It's Ted who wasn't clear, isn't it? I don't think he was clear on the... Is that... Yeah, it is him. I don't think he was clear on the outside there. Couldn't identify who that was, actually. He squeezed into the wall at the time. Maybe we'll get a better shot from here. Yeah, it is Brandon Bowie, who's going to have damage himself. And unfortunately, I think Ted has tried to clear himself there when there was still someone alongside.
6 drivers with meatball flags. Ted is amongst those alongside who are racing in RaceSpot's favorite drivers club. They named it, not us. Ted, what happened?
I thought... Who was behind me? I thought Brandon was a little higher than he actually was. I think I came up a little bit there. Made contact, and yeah, well, it was not a fun way to end the race.
And you've just seen the replay on the broadcast right now. In terms of that collected almost all your teammates. What's the mood now in the room?
Well, I don't know. I got pulled out before they could say anything, so we'll see how it is.
Maybe a good thing.
In there. Yeah.
Well, we'll see.
I heard Joey go, "Oh no, Ted!" And then I got pulled out.
We'll let you go back to your teammates. Thank you, Ted.
All right, thanks.
Ted Lowendick, you can see from the void, is now in the pit lane with the rest of his team destroyed for the most part. Oh, wow.
What?
Nick Silver rolling the dice. Yeah. Andrew Phipps did the same.
Wow, that's a strange one from Phipps there, to go from the lead and go for a 2-tyre call. Nick Silver, a bit more well, not expected, but understandable in the 88 for a 2-tyre call. Terry Radford and Paul Williams both go for no stop at all. So they clearly got through the carnage all right without damage, because they're out front now.
That's a bold play to not go down there. The fuel run is nearly 40 laps. Yes, Ewan. Tires, you can argue, not as important, but will eventually be, depending on the length of the run. So these drivers, top 3, and top 4, I should say, all playing the strategy of hoping the tires don't matter as much in the long run.
Yeah, Well, I don't know. By the way, I don't know why Phipps is now in the lead. I don't know. I don't understand that at all. But
now that I have to see, because here's one thing that can happen here is if you are in a spot where, say, you pass a car, that might come into play. Then again, they were all behind the pace car in the pace line.
There we go. Terry's back in the lead again now. For whatever reason, Paul Williams just decided that he wanted to stay out for one lap, and well, okay, they're going 2 by 2 now. But yeah,
that's a green flag penalty. Paul Williams second just gave himself a green flag penalty for an entry into a closed pit.
Well, why didn't he pit in the first place then? Would be my question there.
So a lot of confusion as somehow Phipps is in the lead, or at the very least may have the invert situation. It looks to be the former. Terry Radford in second in the 3. Then it's Nick Silver on 2. Then it's Richard Regan Jr. in 4th. Of note, they have cleared Williams II's black flag in sim. Behind the top 4 is Scruggs, Dunkelberger, Hawley, Kalin, Bogue, and Loving. So for the most part, if you start up the front, you're staying up at the front, it looks so far. Unless Jim Westerfield has gone up from 25th to 16th, and Joshua Tuez, who's up 31st to 17th.
There's going to be a lot of shuffling from here to the flag, I would imagine. Still 28 cars on the lead lap here and still 45 minutes to go. A lot is going to happen here.
Been an interesting start to the season, to say the very least, now for the Grand National Series. We'll see how this plays out. This is a track that does not have a restart zone placed by iRacing. So it's now on the leader's discretion on where it would be. Barney decides where it is instead. Phipps is off and away. And the battle is already on, 3 wide for second.
How's Terry going to deal with this? Because he's stuck up on the outside here with no tyres on. As you say, we'd be hoping that the drop-off isn't that bad and he can get away with this. And so far through 1 and 2, it looks okay. A little bit loose, though.
In a pack race like this, you can argue it's a bit okay.
Yeah.
After a few laps. It's about, I think, how Terry handles the situation, but the leaders like Hawley are flooring it.
They're going to go either side of him here. He's going to be in a 3-wide moment off of 4. In fact, there's 2 3-wide moments off of 4 here as the 3 car tries to get down low to the inside. Kalin's trying to go for the position. It's Dunkelberger who's suddenly leading the race now.
That's his first lead lap of the season. He was able to gain 3 spots on that opening lap. He's the first to be able to break away. Also, you have Phipps on the fuel only, starting to get shuffled by the tires already. So there's that bit of a difference of grip in the short term coming into play already.
Was it definitely fuel only or 2 tires? I didn't catch it.
If it's 6 seconds, it's usually a fuel only.
Okay. Well, that might be explaining some of the pain that he's going through at the moment, because he's down to 5th already. He's got the 11 car on the low side for the moment. That's Scruggs trying to take on 4th place into 1 and 2.
Mark Hamill also looking to charge ahead. There's already been communications on the radio from Phipps, along with Nick Silver, that they are going to give space here on the no tires or the older tires to be able to give some space. Of note, Ryan Dunkelberger is flying up at the front. He is the first to nearly break the pack, because you see the timing pylon, he's 8/10 up. He might actually break the toe.
Yeah,
never mind, caution.
Ooh. Well, it doesn't matter anyway. The 66 and 60 are around. It's Colton Lane and Dominic Began by the looks of things, and multiple others. Terry Radford, another one of them who's around.
More hard hits, and that's Jacob Emery amongst those who has to take a wild slide. Joshua Tellez, one of the biggest movers, destroyed. Nick Bayer again involved, and yet again under caution. Let's take a look and...
Oh, whoa.
Hello, Terry.
Oh, and there's a separate one there. So there's a second part to that as well, as everyone's slowing down. It's Terry on the outside, and I think he comes down slightly, I've got to say, in the 3. Silver gets turned up straight into the wall and smashed again by the 24 car. And then there's a sort of a second incident further back. This is on board with Radford.
If anything, Radford held his line. At least from that.
It's tricky to tell.
Yeah, you have.
He's got a meatball anyway. It's whatever,
Well,
whoever's at fault.
According to our spotter assisting tonight, Nick Hunter, who just came for the truck race, by the way, he did say that there was a bit of a come down on the line. We didn't see it as much on the onboard, but we've seen it from the blimp. Either way, this allows Phipps to get tires and a couple others to also come in for the different strategy. With 41 minutes on the clock, it's still a one-stopper on the gas.
So
Also hearing? Go ahead.
So I was just going to say that the field's been split in half now, effectively, with 15 staying out, and the rest of them, so that's down to 28th. Another 13, I guess you could say, who are on the lead lap at the moment. Maybe a little bit less than that with that last crash. But anyway, yeah, top 15 have stayed out. The rest of them have come in on the lead lap.
Thomas Sink, by the way, your lucky dog, and Thomas Sink, one of the original legends when it comes to this and when it comes to this time slot. When you think about it, by the way, 10 wins for him. Fortunately, has a long way back to the lead lap. Still 4 laps down. Here's Nick McLaughlin, who got some interesting looks. Let's see what he has to say. Nick, you avoided the trouble. How are you feeling?
A little shaky. Happy we managed to squeeze through it, but I'd be all right if that stopped happening in front of me.
Well, to give you some encouragement, technically you're the only driver left from your team that is not destroyed. How does that make you feel?
I mean, that's all the part of the strategy, stay out of trouble, so it's promising for the team.
Talk us through the choice of the team name this season.
Well, you know, it's we ain't know what a back girls, you know. BANANAS.
It's so 2004, isn't it?
I know. I don't know. We between Teddy and I, we come up with a goofy name every season with a paint to go along with it. So this one just kind of came together and we ran with it.
Good luck the rest of the way in your Chevrolet Bananas car.
Thank you very much, boys.
That's Nick McLaughlin, who's now up to the top 10 because that avoidance started this race in 18th. So, your thoughts on this one, Ewan, as we're already quickly approaching halfway and still about 18, 20 laps away from the green light on gas.
Yeah, it's got a danger now, this one, of turning into sort of a green flag caution phase where we get sort of lots of those phases very, very quickly indeed. I hope that we get a nice green flag run here, but as I mentioned, we've got difference on strategy now. The first car to have taken tyres is Brandon Bowie in the 23. He's on the 8th row of this restart.
For reference, that's around 16th position, and he was involved in some earlier contact. Does have a bit of damage still. Most of it's been fixed. Brian Dunkelberger looking to try and back up the speed he had before the caution. He's the control car from the inside. Regan Jr. on the outside. We're back underway. And the outside is caught on the sleep. Apparently had an issue on the shifter, he just said. He was in 3rd gear.
Yeah, and it's really stacked up that line behind him. What he's also done is allowed Dunkelberger to maybe get away in a similar fashion to what he did on that last green flag run.
Uh-oh, Ryan Dunkelberger, black flag. He went too early, Ewan.
Wow. That's part of the reason why he's so far in front.
Keep in mind, while there technically isn't a visual restart zone, there are lines on the racetrack because watching us with these zip by, you look to the inside line, you'll see one light line about there. There's the one you just see on the right. That's the start of the zone where in real life the logo would still be there.
Yeah, so it didn't look too early to me, but clearly it was. It didn't look so bad, but maybe it was. Maybe it was. It's got to have been. It can't have been much outside of the restart zone.
Dunkelberger needs to serve it in the next 2 laps here. Bradley Hawley and Richard Regan Jr. fighting for what is now likely going to be for the race lead in turn once Dunkelberger serves it. Watch the zone here. He's still yet to serve it. Watch where he goes. He is well out of the box.
Yeah, it is just before. It's not much, but it is just before, and it has sort of given him that advantage. We saw the lead at the time. Thought it was down to that gear shift, if you like, from the outside lane, but in fact it was probably a combination of the two of those things that allowed Dunkelberger to get such a lead. He's going to have a problem here as well, because with so many cars behind him, getting on pit lane is not going to be an easy operation.
Expecting him in this time by. He's already called on the radio. Regan Jr. holding off Hawley, and Mark Kalin is looking for the lead. What a run for Kalin a couple years ago, especially in the Cup Series. He struggled on tire wear. Now he's in the midst of the battle for the lead with Dunkelberger serving the black flag.
Nicely done for Dunkelberger, so he'll drop to the back of the lead lap, but this is a good fight for the lead now. Kalin there, as you say, just in the ideal position, just sat there riding around. I think this is a good position for him to be in. If he's, normally one of those who chews up his tyres, then, just sit back, relax for the moment. Don't take too much out of them for now. Make sure, staying in third place for this moment with more than half an hour to go is absolutely fine.
Reference Kalin in his career, a 2-time winner in the MX-5 to GR86 time slots. For Kalin, he's been in contention for a couple races, but has been known for, we mentioned the right front, but also the outside wall. For reference, his teammate from Wetterback, Bradley Hawley, the word is he's in cruise mode.
I think they all are in this top three at the moment. They're just sitting back at the moment and trying to get away from the rest. They don't want to be involved in that battle behind that is seeing so much action at the moment. The guys even on newer tyres, slightly newer tyres, albeit only 6 laps, but they're struggling to find their way through, and that just shows you what a fierce group it is from 4th on back.
And keep in mind, you also have Regan Jr. saving. They have the track position. They don't really need to push.
Yeah.
Even though they're not trying to push, they're a 10th of a second quicker than the rest of the field right now.
Well, exactly. That's the sort of cruise mode point. He's just staying there for now and just doing what he's doing. And even that is gapping those behind. You can see it further back. RaceSpotTV's got everyone behind him at the moment. Side by side between the 68 and 35 of Mike Knight and Jim Westerfield for 6th at the moment. Knight is on the outside, I think, at the moment, looking to get past Justin Scruggs as well. And there they go, 2 wide in the group. And this is what's allowing the top 3 to get away.
This is especially the type of racetrack, same you can say for California Speedway, where you spend like a couple laps side by side. Good luck staying within the draft, because while the effect can go about a second and a half at a speedway like this, you need to work together if you want to get to the draft.
Yeah. And at the moment, it's just not happening. The top 3 are staying away, and it's because of this. It's side by side in the middle of this group. RaceSpotTV still heading it, and somewhat remarkably, has not yet been attacked by the 11, who's just shoving him down the front stretch.
Keep in mind, Knight on with Westerfield are amongst your biggest movers in the field. 18 spots for Westerfield, 15 for Knight.
Oh!
Also in the midst, near contact. Having a check up in the midst of all this is Danny Cervantes, that 25 car up top, now 3 wide. He's right now alongside Matt Gagnon and pulling out his Loving. So you throw into the mix 3 of your biggest movers are lined up in the midst of this battle. Essentially, right now, they're 6th, 7th, and 8th, your biggest movers.
And Phipps is in there as well in the 22. Look at it. Remember back to how strong he was at the start of this race. He was absolutely fantastic in that 22 car. Now up to 12th. He's the best of those who have pitted under that last caution. Finding it tricky to work his way through this traffic, though, as everybody is in such a high-intensity group.
Air poke. And now, in turn, it's the first time in a while they're able to settle out at least, it looks like. Well, never mind. Remember the fresher tires of Andrew Phipps? They're going. Up front.
Sorry, you say fresher tyres. He only stopped for what? Oh no, he did stop for 14.7. It's someone else who stopped for a short amount of time. So you're right, he is on slightly fresher tyres and making those work.
You see how Bradley Holly is right now. As mentioned, he's in show mode. You can almost read it based on the body language. He's in show mode.
Yeah, he's barely concentrating from the look on his face at the moment. It clearly is, but there's not a lot for him to do at the moment. Just staying behind Regan and stay ahead of Kaelin. Doesn't have to do a whole lot.
I don't know if we switched that or if it was switched by Produce, but I can tell you this is the look of how his setup is there. You see track map was up on the upper right. You also have an air monitor to his left. It helps keep track of things, to keep things declutterized, so to speak.
It's a proper setup there from Bradley Holly. Screens above the screens as well. I think there was a track map on one of the screens. I couldn't really work out what was going on on the other screen. But anyway, he's got a lot of information. He doesn't seem to be looking up at it at the moment. Maybe it's for under caution sort of information, maybe.
I mean, for reference, I have a timing screen, like a little TV mounted to the wall that just shows timing right now. It is kind of usually for that purpose.
Yeah. Oh, it did look up there as well. It is clearly for in-use, in-race use, if you like, throughout as well. But as I said, just barely has to look at his main screen at the moment. Just ride around where you are, and that's absolutely fine with half an hour to go.
Top three still holding on to the lead by about 9/10 the difference between third and fourth. The gap between first and fourth is 1.1 seconds currently. Keep in mind, this is about halfway through the expected fuel runs here at this racetrack. So they have to start thinking about the strategy. The green light for fuel is in the next few laps as well. And most of the field is starting to work together. Outside of that, lap traffic is about to be reached for the first time. We've received a message from Joey Tebbin. He misses when he had top speed. He's going to be the first one to be lapped by the leaders in a minute.
Yeah, he's 3 seconds a lap down on the pace at the moment, and Regan Jr. is about to take
Here we go.
positions as we've got to fight for the lead now.
Ollie saying, you know what? Before we reach him, let's make the pass and swap. There's the reason Joey Tebbin can feed draft. Tebbin moves the apron instead for the time being, though, and here comes a little bump. Both these drivers looking to cooperate and push and shove each other on the bump draft. We have trouble in the heart of the pack. A meatball flag from Mike Knight all of a sudden. Remember, he was in the top 10? Apparently, he just hit the wall in the midst of that change for the lead.
Yeah, he was fighting for positions as well inside the top 20. Just inside the top 20 was Knight. He was fighting with... Oh, I've lost the car now. Who he was fighting with. He was fighting with someone in the field. And fighting the 27th, loving it was, it off of 2 and got into contact, has gotten a meatball as a result. So not ideal, particularly, and has fallen way back now off of our tower on the left.
28 minutes to go. Right now, an estimated 40 to go at the stripe at the current pace. And at this point, it's pretty clear that Holly and Regan Jr. are using each other to save a little bit, whether it's for gas or whether it's for the tires themselves. Who's the first going to be to blink here in the midst of this? Because at a track like this, you time up the pit stop by 1 lap, it might be the difference between winning and losing. 2 laps early, you might be in trouble.
Yeah, we do have a bit of a drop-off here with a second and a half or so back from where we were earlier on as Regan goes for the lead.
Looks like you want some lead laps again. But I was about to say, do you prefer to try the undercut with the tires still showing the fall off in nearly 2 seconds here? Or do you try and go a little bit longer? What would you risk?
I think it depends where you are in the field. If you're further back and struggling at the moment, you might be very tempted to come in now since we're at the halfway mark. We're on a long green flag run. The field's starting to space out, especially as well. You might be tempted to come in, but if you're one of the leaders, it's difficult to come in at this stage.
Here's a look at the change for the race lead just a moment ago. Pretty clear cut. Holly knew the send was coming, gave him the space, said, you know what? You want it back? Go ahead. Look who's back. Andrew Phipps.
Yeah, right back in this 4th place. New tyres by 6 laps or so, and has that advantage as well. If this is going to be a really long green flag run, he has the advantage and the flexibility to run longer than anyone else.
And this is exactly what I was just talking about too, Owen, about the strategy of a couple laps. Essentially, he's on 3-4 lap pressure tires on the green flag run. Guess what? He's 2 to 3 tenths quicker than these drivers in front of him.
Yeah, does that mean he's going to push that advantage home right now, or is he going to sit back and relax and sort of wait for this race to come to him? I would personally go on the attack right now and see what he can do with this, because he's got the advantage at this moment. There's no advantage to sitting back, really, because if those in front just pit, then they'll have the undercut on him. If there's a caution, they'll all be in, and it's difficult to make places under caution with a pit stop, so might as well go on the attack right now, even though there are 25 minutes left.
In turn, 25 minutes to go. Here's a look at the heart of the pack. Rasa Esports going out for much of the season. Derek Watson, one of the main people from that organization. And I talked to him in person about the team name, and it mentioned essentially it's about the meaning is second chances in Italian. Morgan amongst those who needs a paint scheme. Just get the default iRacing paint scheme and you're good to go. He's slowly but surely running up front, up 12.
It could be an all white scheme, I suppose.
Well, technically that is one of Junior Motorsports' iRacing paint schemes, but from Trading Paints.
So yeah, I don't mind the iRacing scheme. It's fine as long as everyone doesn't choose it. Then we're really going to have a nightmare as commentators. But one car's fine. We can have that in the field. And running top 10 at the moment as well is fine.
For now, trying to see if he can find a way around the 14. Matt Gagnon still playing solid defense for the time being, though. Of note, towards the front, Mark Kalin and Andrew Phipps are still amongst those shuffling, yes. You still have drivers potentially that could get loose, though. This is going to be something to keep an eye on because you can cook the tires here at this track. Remember, one of the things we haven't talked about too much, there was the oval refresh since the last season, and that brought a multi-groove racing back when it came to Michigan.
And Phipps has used that, by the way, to get into 3rd place here in the 22. And he's on the back of Bradley Holly as well, as we're into lap traffic again here as well.
That was after Kalin just about completed a pass back. 34 estimated laps to go, by the way, at the stripe. For Phipps, keep in mind, it's been a good night. As we talked about, he's been off the wall in some of the strategy, yes. But keep in mind, for Phipps, you're talking about a driver that could be amongst those looking to try and get one of their first wins in PRL competition, let alone getting in the first pole of his PRL career tonight.
Yeah, it's been a good night so far. Still a long way to go in this race, it's fair to say. 23 minutes remaining in this one, but he's still got the speed. You wouldn't think 6 laps advantage is very much on tyres, but clearly it is for Andrew Phipps.
It's part of those with Bowie Esports for reference, the organization with Brandon Bowie. It's one of the top organizations that, keep in mind, is running an RSR's Winter Series. It's in a tight team battle much of the year in the overall series season with Altus Esports and with Flatout Esports. And when you're beating Altus Esports, that's a big thing because that's an organization with a lot of backing.
Yeah, certainly is. And here goes Andrew Phipps for second. The 22 on the inside, able to keep it lower than anyone else. And Bradley Holly doesn't even really argue about that one.
Hearing pit stops imminent. Kalin starting to fall off. Dustin Scruggs is starting to come into play here as some of the others who are on offset strategies, like Paul Williams II, are coming through the pack on much fresher tires.
Yeah, right around the outside. This could be interesting. We do have a lap car, as I mentioned earlier, right in front of these guys, but they're not actually able to pass the car for the moment. Finally, they do. It's Mike Knight in the 68 who's up high at the moment, and through the middle of the wall will go Paul Williams, as he said, in the 7. Could get very interesting indeed here with cars on 3 different laps converging.
Mark Kalin is into the pit lane for a green flag stop. Same for Jim Westerfield. And in turn 3 wide with the lap cars.
Oh,
this is not fun. Knight forced to back up. Oh, while Paul Williams II does Paul Williams II things on the high side.
Reagan Jr. has to give him a little bit of room on the outside. Mike Knight still holding his own on the outside here of Andrew Phipps and Bradley Holly, who run into 3 and 4 together.
Holly trying to take advantage. Now he's looking to back it up. Is this a signal for him to maybe think about it? Regan Jr.'s coming, and so is Holly. A send from Bradley Holly for the pit entry. He closes it up to a car length at the cone.
And what's the undercut like here for Mark Kalin? Because he was the first of the top 5 in pit lane. Has that been enough for him to take over and maybe get the race lead from these guys at Michigan?
Can't afford a mistake on this stop. Colton Lane amongst those also back in the pit lane. Mark Kalin just got a black flag. Unsafe pit exit. The 62 is out of it.
So it's not going to matter. Andrew Phipps is going to respond here by coming into pit lane. I think he probably should do. Oh, no. Wow. Well, I think he should do, because he's got cars passing him now as well. But no.
Oh, that was near contact for the choo-choo train. The pit stops now. James Morgan, Danny Cervantes, Reese Bogue, Dustin Scruggs, Mark Gagnon, Nick McLaughlin, Dominic Big N amongst those now into the lane for their scheduled stops.
Well, what's going to happen here for Andrew Phipps? I have a feeling he's making a mistake here, I've got to say, by staying out for so long. I really do. I think he is making a bit of an error. Richard Reagan Jr. is out in front, by the way, of the field with that stop. Paul Williams, by the way, is right on the back of them.
The main thing that's coming to mind, remember, is he not only is offset on strategy, but also fuel. Technically, he can go the longest out of anybody and can go for an air 11 laps. If there's a caution, he pins the field a lap down, as you see Loving coming into the pit lane, one of the converts from the Truck Series.
Well, well, would it be an advantage though? Because not much of the field is a lap down. There's still 15 on the lead lap.
Well, keep in mind, there's still a few that have yet to pit, and they also have the track position, too. It's not just about the laps down.
True.
Right now, there's about 19 on the lead lap with Lane getting his lap back, for reference.
Yeah, the only problem, this is not a bad strategy as long as there is another caution. If this race runs green the rest of the way, the 22 has sort of thrown away a great position here. It's a bit of a risk when I don't think there was really one necessary, but he might have just thought, well, it's round 1. None of us have got anything to lose anyway here, have we? So why not, let's just go for this and see if I can make my life a little bit easier. But as I say, he's kind of relying on a caution here.
The others stretching it right now on the strategy are Matthew Smith, Brandon Bowie, Ryan Dunkelberger, and Adam Zemke. Everybody else so far behind them has already come in for service at one point or another. So those drivers, for the most part, we've seen some trouble from Bowie. We've seen Matthew Smith be very loose on his tires in the 29. Dunkelberger's coming back from a black flag, and Zemke's been amongst those stuck in traffic most of the night, but has damage from an incident.
Well,
under 18 minutes to go.
Sorry, can Dunkelberger make this? Or is he not? He's not even stopped once yet, has he? No. Okay. That was for his. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm looking at the time since he came for his drive-through, not since he last pitted. That's where I'm going wrong there. So apologies for that. He will have to pit again, as will everybody inside the top 5.
There's an estimated 25, maybe 24 laps to go, and Andrew Phipps is in. Andrew Phipps is coming to the pit lane, so now the overall leader comes in and offset on tires by up to 5 laps.
Yeah, so it's roughly the same as what it was previously. Reagan and Holly are going to have 5 laps older tyres rather than 6. on this occasion. So you get the feeling that they've done all they can here. He needs to get this right. He locks it up, but he gets it into his box in time. And Phipps is going to have quite a quarter of an hour ahead of him here if he wants to chase down these two.
Regan Jr. currently in the net lead, and they easily pass by. For the net lead to the inside, it's Bradley Hawley on the send. They swap again.
Oh, with the two of them racing someone who's on newer tyres than them and possibly having to run away and be chased by someone, I'm not sure that's a particularly nice idea, but anyway, they've gone for it, and Hawley's got the lead again.
The next nearest car, though, is about 2 seconds back in terms of positioning, Jim Westerfield. And for reference, how big was that decision when it came to Andrew Phipps? He's all the way back in 18th position.
Oh, that's too much of a gap, surely. It's a huge gap.
More pit stops over the radio. Matthew Smith expected this time, so expect this to be for the overall lead in the next moment. Here's Regan Jr. on board. Seen a lot of give and take amongst these two. Regan Jr. amongst those in the VR club now.
Yes. Does look bizarre, doesn't it, from this angle? Just looks like he's steering the wheel for absolutely no reason at all. But yeah, he's in the VR club now, and maybe a bit of give and take here with a quarter of an hour to go. There's still a long way to go, and I think it's a smart idea for these two to just ride around together for now. Let's see how quickly Phipps can catch up, and if they get to a point in this race where the 22 won't catch them, then definitely the fighting could commence then, but I'm not sure it's a great idea right now.
Here goes Regan Jr. No, he elects to push instead. Of note, they are just about to Ryan Dunkelberger, who's hoping for a caution after being the fastest driver on the track before his jumping the start penalty. Regan Jr. just continuing to just want to push.
I don't blame him at this stage. Gap to Phipps is 11 seconds at this stage. I think of the guys who went long there, Phipps is the one they've got to be worried about most. Matthew Smith is out 26 seconds behind them. Brandon Bowie 26 seconds behind them also. They're fighting for 21st. I don't think these two will be particularly concerned about that.
And the main thing that comes to mind here is understanding the thought of, let's break away from the pack. They've gained about a second or two from this. The counterpoint is, eventually, this is something's going to have to give. When does Regan Jr. say, okay, I've given enough of the super nose to you. Let's take this super nose and take it to the front.
Well, there is an argument to be made for that, but my point kind of being, if they fight too much at this stage, then neither of them are going to win. So at least if they hold off for the moment, then one of them has got the chance to win. If they fight too hard, Andrew Phipps is going to ride around both of them, and neither of them are going to win. So they might as well work together, at least at this stage, to give them a 50-50 chance rather than a 0% chance.
Here comes the bump. Once again, a small lift as they reach Ryan Dunkelberger. The overall race lead with about 13 minutes to go. Less than 20 estimated laps to go if it stays green, keep in mind. Expect this to be pretty easy. The reason for the raised pitch was because Joey Tebben nearly pushed up in front of them. Instead, Bradley Hawley takes the lead as there goes Dunkelberger.
Dunkelberger in the 26th out there for a very long time now. 33rd lap about to come to the end. Well, we're into the high 30s now, actually, aren't we, with Dunkelberger in his stint. He was hoping for a caution. It's not come for him. He's risked it all, and I don't blame him, considering his black flag earlier. But it's not paid off, I'm afraid, unless there's a caution in the next few moments.
Side by side, Regan Jr. says, okay, it's time to go with the traffic. He looks high side. Ollie trying to keep it up along the first seam. Not able to stick it to the seam as Regan Jr. gets the run for the race lead.
Bit of a slide from Holly as well, but he took back into line. And Richard Regan Jr. will be leading the way with 12 minutes to go. That'll be around, 16 laps maybe at the end of this one for Regan Jr. out there on the circuit. So, yeah, maybe 16 to go roughly. if this runs clean and green to the end. 6 seconds to Andrew Phipps, who has been consistently taking time out of them, by the way. Another half a second on that last lap.
Dunkelberger's had to come in. Everybody's come in for their fuel stops to be able to make it to the end. Keep in mind, there is one driver quicker than these two. The 11 has chipped away 2 seconds nearly in the past couple minutes.
It's Justin Scruggs in the 11, trying to catch up to them. He's got 1 lap fresher tyres. He's still 2 seconds away. I personally think that gap might be a bit too big for him at this stage in the race, unless there's a really big fight, which there could well be between these two.
You know who's also coming to the field? Andrew Phipps again. He likes to go from the back to front almost. This is side by side in the battle group for 6th. Right now, these drivers about 6 seconds back in the leader.
Reese Bogan, the latest victim for Phipps, although making a little bit hard work of this now in the 22. Clearly those tyres do have a limit. He's still over 5 seconds back with 10 minutes to go. It's going to be a nail-biting finish to this one.
And with about 15 laps estimated to go, there is no room for error. There's no room for marginal. There's no room for average when it comes to the pace of the 22.
No, he's got to be absolutely on it here, and these last couple of laps he hasn't been, because he's been working his way through traffic. Although saying that, another 4 tenths of a second gained on that last lap. Because we don't know how many laps are remaining, we don't really know how many or how much time he needs to gain per lap, but I reckon half a second a lap might well do it for him.
One thing to note, by the way, there's an estimate about 15 laps, as we mentioned. It's coming up 14 on the estimate. It could be close on the exact minutes on the clock. Keep an eye on that as we close in the final stage of this one here at Michigan. Looking up ahead. Remember Danny Cervantes and how he started 24 spots back? Well, there's your fact now. He's up to 4th.
There's been a lot of movers and shakers in this one. Danny Cervantes now 4th in the 25 car. And a fantastic drive from him. Really great drive. Biggest mover forward by quite some distance. Jim Westerfield's moved forward 20. They've both done a fantastic job to be 4th and 5th now.
An incredible job once again from Cervantes, one of the those from RBM's camp, part of its second team unit this season. There's actually technically 3 different teams to include the development wing for Regan Bogue in their group this season. And no surprise, the 22's here to break up the party.
Yeah, he's on the inside here, Andrew Phipps. And he'll get through on Jim Westerfield and even be able to slip back to the racing line in towards 3 and 4 as well, which is very helpful for him in terms of the time. He'll dip down below the 25 through 3 and 4 as well, though maybe not quite as low as he was earlier on in the race where he was right on the white line. Maybe half a lane up from that now. He should move to 4th now, just under 4 seconds behind Regan and Holly. The problem he has, though, is that he does lose a lap of gaining time when he's overtaking cars.
8 minutes to go. Needs to gain 3.8 seconds in 8 minutes. It's going to take a lot of precision. He's got Scruggs, Hawley, and Regan Jr. has different obstacles when it comes to that respective speed. We'll see if there's enough time or if the equalization comes into play. An interesting note, a lot of the drivers involved in some of the big ones earlier are back in the race. That includes Joey Tevin, who's just had to complete service, but also hearing Terry Radford's back in the race. So several drivers have finished their meatball repairs. Only Ted Lowendick is yet to return to the race as we're down to the final 7.5 minutes.
Phipps now 3.6 seconds behind the leaders. And at what point do Regan and Holly start to fight between themselves? Because the 56 has started to either stretch his legs, or Holly has just decided to ease off with 7 minutes to go here. The gap at 3/4 of a second somehow.
It's chipping away with the fresher rubber, yes. Cervantes is slipping back from a chance for 4th at least, but seems to be comfortable for the top 5. About 10 laps estimated to go. Is there going to be enough time? Keep in mind, Richard Regan Jr. has started to check out for the overall lead, Ewan, because while we've been keeping an eye on the charge of Phillips, Regan Jr. has continued to run away slowly but surely from the 184.
Yeah, and another, nearly a tenth on that last lap by Regan Jr. Made up there. So, yeah, about 900ths of a second made up on that last lap. It'd be another little bit of a chunk on this occasion. On the last lap, the 22 only made up 3/10 on Regan Jr. There'll be new times coming in over the line here. 42.0 for the two leaders. Shrugs at just a tenth of a second slower than that. Phipps 4/10 quicker than Regan on that lap. It's going to be really, really close whether he gets there. I'm not sure he's going to have many chances at overtaking if he does.
Still within the drafting distance, Phipps is now. As mentioned, half a second quicker at the current tempo with about 8 or 9 estimated laps to go. It's going to be close. That's the best way to put it. There is traffic to use as leapfrogs for draft. This could get interesting with Terry Radford to use as a drafting mark. Scruggs trying to play defense for third.
And how hard is he going to play defense for this? Because that could be a big moment in this race as well. He's high into 1 and 2. And Phipps has immediately got the chance to go on the inside here through 1 and 2. And it will be Scruggs on the outside, stuck behind the 3 car. They're going to go 3 wide either side of Terry Radford.
Well, that's a decision. Lap car go middle. And if anything, that hurt more so Scruggs than it did Phipps. 7 estimated laps to go. Now Phipps needs to close up about 2.8, 2.9 seconds.
And he's lost that lap there. Scruggs has held him back for a lap, and he's lost that in terms of gaining. Phipps there was only able to go 1/10 quicker than Regan Jr. Not really quick enough in terms of where he needed to be there. I reckon he could get second here, Phipps, but I think he may well just run out of time for the win.
It's going to be close. Once again, to emphasize the fresher tire difference, about 5 laps compared to the race leaders. And what we've seen so far from Phipps is he can drive the field on the fresher tires. The difference is he had a lot less time to drive through the previous time with the caution bunch up. But 4 minutes to go, with about 6 laps to do something, he needs to pick up about 2 seconds to get close enough to have a chance at least at Holly.
I think it could be too little too late, unfortunately, for the 22. He's on the inside again of another lap car. That's Knight in the 68. 2.5 seconds. Holly may even be safe for second now.
Only 3/10 gain last time, about 3.5 minutes to go. One thing's for certain, Richard Regan Jr. and Bradley Holly have been 2 of the quickest drivers all night long, 2 of the winningest drivers in the history of this time slot, with 67 wins for Holly, 34 for Regan Jr. in their respective careers. That's not a surprise, to say the very least, when we're talking about those 2.
Yeah, they're so successful in this series. Always find their way up towards the front. I said earlier on that you're going to need to be up towards the front and have the speed. At the time of the last restart, we may have already seen the final restart of this race, even though it was a very long time ago. I said just before it, I was fearing a very stop-start race. Well, thankfully, we've not had that. We've had a long green flag run. We've had a nail-biter. But in the end, it's always the best that rise to the top, especially in long green flag runs like this. And 2 of the very best are leading 1 and 2 right now.
Even though the Sequoia racetrack expect us to already be past the point of no return in terms of the minutes to go this time by. Richard Regan Jr., for reference, has just been very difficult to close in. Holly's a little quicker now in the Wetterback Racing Overdrive machine right now. But Regan Jr. just had that burst of speed that we were waiting for when he was bump drafting before.
Yeah, and Holly is just starting to show that maybe he's held something back for this late race stage, but I don't think it's going to be enough. Over the line again. Regan actually turned the tide again Holly gained about a quarter of a second on that last lap. He's lost a hundredth of a second on this next one, and Phipps is now gaining just a tenth a lap. He maybe went out slightly too hard, probably gave himself a bit too much to do.
Tires have equalized a little bit too late for him to have a shot as you take a look at the conquer line. 37, that's Nick McLaughlin, 14th. In towards the wall, Terry Radford trying to let cars go. That's Thomas Sink, a lap car in front of McLaughlin. Doug Evans and Dominic Begin amongst those with a chance to battle along. Some of these drivers, mind you, were involved in some of the incidents earlier. McLaughlin, the last one standing when it comes to his team. As that nearly changed, Thomas Sink nearly spun it. Doug Evans had to get on the gas as they got tight with about a minute to go.
And McLaughlin goes through to 13th. Doug Evans slides back, and that's a lap car, by the way, heading back down the inside there. It's certainly got a lot more spread out in the last few moments. Just 21 cars now on the lead lap of this race. Seen plenty of incidents, plenty of speed just stretching the field out, really, as the 4 heads to the inside here. Up to 6th place now for Reece Bogue.
White flag is waving from the flag stand. Barney's throwing the white. Regan Jr. reached the lap mark at the end of 43 seconds to go. Expect this to be the final time around, likely here for Richard Regan Jr. He's been a dominant driver since jumping into the oval scene in the PRL a few years ago. Multiple-time Cup Series champion, 4 wins in last season alone on the way to the championship in 2023 for the Grand National Series. And as the clock reaches its full zeros down the front straightaway this time by, he starts the new year off where he began last year. A victory. Richard Regan Jr. gets the win to start off 2024 Season 1 in the Grand National Series.
Great mix of everything in that victory for Regan Jr. Good qualifying, good positioning when it mattered, good pit stop under yellow, good strategy in the green flag pit stops, but most importantly, right at the very end, better pace than just about anybody else in the field. Bradley Holly put away by a second in that final run to the flag, and that is certainly not an easy thing to achieve.
Regan Jr., at the end of the calendar year, remember, picked up the playoff championship. First in the history of the Grand National Series. In previous years, had been 3 other attempts before 2023 where it became trucks and Grand National. Holly originally won the first 2 of those. Regan Jr., he strikes first in the new year.
Fantastic way to start the season for the 56 driver, and good burnout on the front straight as well. As long as he keeps it out the wall here, he just about does. He's done this enough times to know what he's doing.
And his team members all joining in on the burnout celebration as Regan Jr. burns it out on the front straightaway. A good start for the organization for the new year, as for some reason, Colton Lane was coming to join the party. Bradley Holly, Andrew Phipps in the top 3. Then, how about the teamwork for RBM? A 1-4-5-6 with Scruggs, Cervantes, and Bogue up there. Westerfield, Morgan, Gagnon, and Lane, your top 10. Back in 11th spot tonight, it was Steve Loving, one of the drivers moving over from the trucks. Dominic Begin in 12th. Nick McLaughlin, Doug Evans, Matthew Smith, Brandon Bowie, Paul Williams II, Jacob Emery, Dalton Gayer, and Mark Kalin after his black flag in 20th position. Dunkelberger, the last on the lead lap after his black flag. Then Zemke, 1 lap down. Knight, 2 down. Sink, 4 down. Tellez Alteben, or 5 down in the end. Bayer finishes 7 down. Terry Radford did finish the race. Jeff Evans finished 48 laps down. Nick Silver onto the DNF list here tonight. And Ted Lumendick, he only made it a few laps before chaos reigned for the 72. Drivers currently making their way from the celebrations on the front straightaway. And as one team destroys their sheet metal, Joey Tebbin's team in reference, another gets to have a celebration in victory lane. Richard Regan Jr., welcome back. It's another win. How are you feeling?
Feel good to get the win. Just glad this race is over with. With like 5 minutes to go, my shifter broke, so that was fun. Yeah, I mean, it's nice to, last time we were out, we got the championship, and we can start the season off with the win's always good.
First of all, talk us through the battle itself with Bradley Hawley, because there was some rumblings and some conversation even from the Hawley camp of, is he letting me go? Is we playing in conserve mode? How would you describe the battle before you went and pounced with about 10 minutes to go?
Yeah, well, earlier in the race, he was riding behind me pretty close, and it burnt off my right rear because he was just packing so much air on my spoiler. So I had to be a little bit more conservative getting on pit road with my broken shifter. So that kind of changed my strategy a little bit. So once I realized he was going to push to get back to me, I just let him go, and I just did what he did to me earlier in the race, and was going to hope that would be enough. And I got his right rear burnt up a little bit and was able to get by.
In turn, your opinions on the next race as you start off already in victory lane here. But next, we continue the legacy stretch. It's the Brickyard next.
Yeah, I haven't run a race at Indy in a couple of years, so at least on the oval. So it'll be fun to bring the Grand National cars back out there and see what happens.
Well, once again, congratulations on the win. It's your 35th on Wednesday nights.
Thank you. I'd like to give a shout out to Multiple Sclerosis Society, Neonism Paints. You need paint, go to facebook.com/neonism and tell them the PRL sent you. JZ Photography, Mission 22, everybody at Regenboog Motorsports, everybody at PRL, and you guys at RaceSpot.
Thank you very much for the time, Richard. Congratulations once again.
Thanks.
Richard Regan Jr. comes away with the victory. Bradley Hawley comes away in second. Let's get the opinions of Bradley Hawley from Ewan.
Bradley, welcome in again. Good to have you with us. Second place tonight in the season opener for the Grand National Series. How are you feeling after that one? Was it a case of you didn't have the pace in the end, or what was it?
I burnt my stuff up a little bit more trying to get to Richard right after pits, but other than that, I mean, I felt like I was right there with Richard for the most part.
And what about the sort of race as a whole in terms of how few yellows there were? Because I said in commentary about 20 minutes in, this could be a very stop-start race with not much green flag running. Was that the feeling you got? Did you expect that long run to the flag that we got in the end?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, a lot of times in the Grand National Series when we have a couple wrecks early on, everybody gets their stuff together and we end up having a long run. Sometimes we have caution randomly late in a race, but I mean, I felt like once the tires got worn out and everybody spread out, it was going to be about tire management.
Well, second place for you in the end. Congratulations on a good start to the season in the Grand National Series. Thanks so much for coming to chat to us, and once again, congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Thanks very much, Bradley Hawley. Second place here tonight at Michigan.
So I'd like to thank the top two for taking the time to speak with us during post-race coverage here on RaceSpot. And in turn, as talked about, the next race is going to be an intriguing one. It's the Brickyard next. The 2009 version is seen in the brackets there. And a lot of the oval racing there has looked very solid. People are intrigued on what to see here next week on January the 10th.
Yeah, we are going to be looking forward to going back again to the oval side rather than the road course, which has been a bit more popular over the last couple of years in NASCAR series. But I have a feeling that over the next couple of years, it may well be a little bit more popular again, going back to the oval. So maybe it'd be good practice for everyone to get back into the swing of things, and maybe it won't be such a throwback legacy event in future seasons of the Grand National Series. We might be seeing it as a regular round of a normal sort of season, if you like, for the Grand Nationals very soon. But we'll find out next week, see what everyone is saying about the track next week and how they go around there after a bit of time away.
Yes, indeed. It should be an interesting one next week when it comes to both the trucks and the Grand National machines here on RaceSpot. With that, it's time to say goodbye for our co-producer, or our producer overall, Hugo Weiss, my co-announcer, I should say, Ewan O'Leary, and our spotter for the Grand National race, and Nick Hunter. I'm Justin Prince, saying so long. Enjoy the rest of your day or evening. You've been watching coverage of the Precision Racing League and its truck and Grand National cars, racing from Kentucky and Michigan, respectively. Good night from Brooklyn, Michigan. We'll see you next week from Rockingham and Indianapolis.